So what is no-dig? We are all quite familiar with the traditional methods of growing food and the hard labor that is associated to it. We are constantly battling weeds, spending hours on our knees or bending over trying to get rid of them. And then once we think that we are in control, a new flush of weed seeds are germinating all over the place, bringing us back to square one. It is a constant battle that we are trying so desperately to win, but lose every single growing season. But what if we could grow food in a way that minimizes our work input, that would eliminate the amount of time that we spend trying to fight a losing battle? What if instead of going against nature, we find a way to work in harmony together? A method in which we can save ourselves a lot of time, energy and effort and yet grow an abundance of high quality nutritiously dense food. This method goes by many names and is nothing new to this day and age, as it has been practiced for decades if not longer. The most common term used in Europe for this system is no-dig, but others might also call it mulch gardening, no-till, natural farming and many other names. Whatever you call it, the principles are similar. The idea behind this method is to protect the soil through mulches and disturb it as little as possible, as to preserve its structure and to preserve the abundance and diversity of the soil life that call the soil beneath our feet their homes. Nature doesn't use heavy machinery or strenuous back-breaking digging or tilling to work the soil. It is the complex interrelationships between plants and billions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, earthworms, small mammals, all working harmoniously together, constantly improving the ecosystem and the fertility of their surroundings. And it is this lack of disturbance in combination with mulching the ground that we are imitating in our gardens. This is how we are able to grow nutritiously dense food with a lot less effort and energy inputs. The forest is one of the best examples of this system in action. The soil is constantly covered and protected by the different layers of vegetation and the organic matter that falls on the surface of the soil. And that is exactly what we've imitated and replicated in our gardens. We've got the fruiting trees providing us with food, shade, shelter and protection from the elements, whilst below the canopy we've mulched the entire area with compost for the growing beds and wood chips in the pathways. Although we were fortunate to have the tree systems in place, and I personally wouldn't want to grow a garden without them, they are not a must to get started. Starting out a garden or a farm using the principles of no-dig is very straightforward and doesn't require any special know-how or experience. The aim is to get rid of the existing vegetation through an initial cover of cardboard and a layer of compost of about 15 centimeters or 6 inches. This way you can immediately have a clean growing environment void of any weeds and will allow you to start seeding or transplanting crops directly into it. Now some weeds might poke through the cardboard and the compost initially, and when that happens you can use a simple garden trowel to remove them. After that, it is an extremely simplistic and satisfying method of growing your vegetables. At the start, when you are creating your first growing beds, you are going to need quite a bit of compost, but as soon as your beds are in place, it becomes simply a matter of maintenance and you will only have to apply a couple of wheelbarrows of organic matter every growing season to feed the soil organisms. This way you continue to protect and feed the worms and all the other beneficial organisms that create tunnels and airways, loosening up the soil for you without you ever having to worry about tilling or digging again. Your back will thank you and your plants will grow abundantly. Any weeds that will blow in from neighboring properties and they germinate on your beds, they are very easily removed by hand or using basic gardening tools. As for the type of organic matter you use to create your growing beds, this can come from a variety of sources depending on what you have locally available. It might come from well-rotted manures like horse or cow manures, but it can also be from well-composted green wastes, your own kitchen scraps that you've composted, and a wide variety of other sources. As long as it has been well composted, you can use it on your garden beds to mulch and feed the soil food web. Growing food doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be complicated. You can grow your own food for your friends and your family, and you can even do it on a commercial scale and provide food for your community. The whole idea behind this method is that you take care of the soil and the soil will take care of you and your plants. Keep it simple, get rid of your tiller, and have fun growing.